Hey, hi, how are you? Vadd here. We are continuing our Pygmy evolutions here with the Pygmy Kongs, these Pygmy Gigantopithecus, and we are transitioning them once again from the Pygmies into those Apex Pygmies, those Tier 2 Pygmies. As we continue into the Dox mod, in the mid-game, we're going to talk a little bit more about gear stacking. This is the point where you go, what's gear stacking? And I go, this should be sounding familiar. Gear stacking is when we go into battle and we show up with a saddle with an appropriate amount of armor, hopefully around 200 plus. We have our shoulder pet pygmy giving us a bonus, a buff. We're going to show up with our health potions. Remember, those Apex Pygmies have the crowns, those kings and queens. That's right, the extra stats, and the regular Pygmies do not. We want to make sure we have our potions. We want to make sure that we are prepared to fight, and we want to get our hands on some Dox armor. Just like the previous Pygmy evolutions, 10 Dox meats are going to do the trick to get that second tier Pygmy, that Apex Pygmy, into a Prime. This is our first Apex King Kong Prime, and frankly, it's quite a monster. It's absolutely massive. I'm riding on a regular Sasquatch, a Bigfoot, a Sam Squanch, and you can see here that King Kong Prime is just about 4 times bigger, maybe more. With the Kong Prime, you can also see it gives us an oxygen bonus. So the Primes all have some perks. If you want to know how to make health potions, you go into crafting, and you can see the cost is 1 generic artifact and 2 raw Dox meats. With the Kong Prime, that is again the Prime tier wild dino, and we are going to be taking them out to fight. Here we are with our gear. We have our Apex Pygmy Gigantopithecus. We have our Prime Kong. That's right, Apex King Kong Prime. And you can see here, he also has an armor slot. We gave him a helmet piece with 115 armor, sitting at about 30,000 health and about 2,000 melee damage. I'm going to continue to try and make an effort to show you the numbers of what I'm fighting what with, so that when you're doing your playthrough, you can look at your numbers and go, okay, it's a little different. There's some kind of zombie Ovis thing here that was just getting in my way. I'm trying to fight that. Can you see it down there, the pig with the red star over its head? As we know, the red star means it's a Prime tier boss. We're trying to fight the Daeodon Prime. However, these little munchkin minion zombie sheep are just massively in the way, and it looks like it's a part of the pig fight here, that it has the ability to summon not only some prime minions of its kind, but also these zombie sheep. And wow, I just get deleted here. Yeah, this is not going according to plan. Let's see if we can get away from this, and no, not happening. So what did we learn here? We learned that our Prime King Kong is not as awesome as it looks, but it still looks awesome. Hey, did you notice we got poison? To get rid of that poison, we just drink a lesser antidote. We're going to try again. Instead of bringing our King Kong Prime, we have our Rock Golem Prime. We're going to keep the same shoulder pet. Can you see here we have a saddle with almost 100 more armor, and we're using a tame with 100,000 more health. Less melee damage, but again, it's a Rock Golem, so we're going to get those defensive bonuses from physical damage. And we're going to get this Daeodon Prime. Both the Apex King Kong Prime and this Rock Golem Prime, both of them have a range attack. And I'm going to continue to show you the stats on what I'm using so you can compare them. I found out here that I have my server settings just a little bit off. I've given this Daeodon Prime a little bit too much health. I've actually upped the difficulty, shot myself in the foot, and I made a second mistake. Not only am I running settings that are a little off for the Dox mod, we've talked about settings before. Remember, I still recommend going to the Steam Workshop page, going into the photos there, and you can see the recommended settings. Run those settings, you won't have the same problem. You can see here that this Prime has just about 240,000 health. It should really have closer to 130,000 health. It's about double as strong as it should be, and there's some kind of knock-up effect that's really giving me a hard time with this Golem. So I'm not sure if the Golem is the best prime to be taking into this fight. This knockup's pretty brutal, and I've made a mistake here. I've been killing these Dodos. It turns out that I did a little research, and this Daeodon Prime does have an interaction with these zombie creatures. So when you see a zombie creature walking around, and if you put the hurt on it, you're going to find out that you're going to get that message right there. The infected horde is inbound. What does that mean? It means there's going to be more of them. They have friends, and they love to fight. You can see here, I'm popping potions, and I've got 200,000 health, and I've almost killed the Daeodon. It's down to about 70,000 health. My plan here is to throw out one of my little Pokeballs, one of my little Cryos, and try if I can get back in the fight and get that last 70,000 down. Of course, I have Alicia. You can't trust a Necromancer, but can she pull it through? We'll find out. The Daeodon Prime summons zombie creatures, and zombie creatures have friends. And if you kill enough of these Dodos or those Zomovises, the zombie horde shows up. And sometimes when the zombie horde shows up, it has a zombie Dodo that shows up. So here we have a Daeodon Prime wild kill. I think I could have done it with the Rock Golem if I hadn't buffed the Prime through my own mistake, and I lost my Rock Golem there. I also could have showed up with a different shoulder pad, and we still don't have our Dox armor yet. I want to make sure I harvest the saddle. Okay, I turned down the brightness a massive amount here. An Apex Zombie Dodo Prime was summoned. So, part of why that Rock Golem went down so quick, I might have been fighting two primes. Again, we got another prime kibble, and you see the Apex Wyvern Hardened Scale. That Wyvern Scale, that's the saddle for the Wyverns. You can fly a Wyvern without needing a saddle, but it's not going to have the armor. We're going to try one more time, and there's something I haven't shown you yet. We have that Prime Argy, which can summon some friends, and I've got a Rock Elemental here. It can also summon some friends. I'm also giving this one Sulfur. If you give a Rock Elemental Sulfur, word on the street is it's going to be more beneficial for healing than the stone I had it before. Remember, Rock Golems don't eat meat or berries, they eat rocks. I've also adjusted my settings to more appropriately match the settings recommended in the Steam Workshop. You can see here that this Prime has a little closer to 130,000 health, and I'm going to make an effort to summon my minion first. That's right, I summoned a Dire Bear, and we're going to start this fight off with not just me, but also my bear in the fight. I'm also on a Rock Elemental, if you notice on the stats, that has substantially more health. Less health and more damage. And you see the big bear that showed up? I summoned a minion, and when a Rock Elemental summons a minion, as of the current state of Dox, it rolls the dice, and there's a couple of different minions it could summon. I got the Dire Bear. The Dire Bear is unique because it summons a bigger bear to fight with you. So this fight went a lot smoother, and just like in the last fight, this time I got a Dragon Scale, and I got another of these Daeodon heads. So the Rock Elemental Prime was a pretty fair bet. I might have had more success with the King Kong Apex Prime if I'd thrown more from a distance instead of going in the fight toe-to-toe so early. This bridge, I just blocked off. It gives me a safe zone between places where I can kind of land and plan, and I'm going to show you where base C is. In the mid-game docs, I'm going to make an effort to showcase at least one potential base location throughout the game. You're going to fly off that bridge, and you're just going to turn left at the waterfalls. This location is a little smaller than base A, but it has two entrances, which is a weakness of base A. Base B has two entrances and some water, but it has a little less room than base C here. At base C, I'm going to have a little bit of a nightmare trying to level it all off. I might lose some space trying to get this ground to be more easy to traverse without needing a grapple and a parachute. However, it actually opens up on the other side of the rocks. So it's a fun location that if you're looking for a base, you can block off the doors and you have lots of room, and you're a little more centralized again than base A, and maybe a little more centralized than base B. We are in the desert, and I have our T-Rexes. That's right, Gervain is out here again, and even if you can't trust a Necromancer, we should know by now this is no longer early game docs. Sure, I've got a little bit of gear stacking with my Apex Pygmy, but I'm running around on an Apex Dino, and I don't have the best saddle here. I've got 100,000 health, and I've got about 80,000 torpidity, 2,000 melee damage. I point out the torpidity because we are going to try and fight the Apex Scorpion Prime. That Apex Scorpion Prime is one of those prime dinos that's on our hit list. There are a number of prime dinos that we are going to try and fight our way through. We are out of early game docks. We're not fighting the nest defenders anymore. We are here hunting the weakest, the lowest, the smallest bosses we can in the mid-game docks. And here we can see some of the mechanics. The Scorpion Prime summons those scorpions, and I was hoping the Rex would be able to kind of keep them back and chomp their way through. Apex Rex went down hard and fast. You could see there in about 1, maybe 2 hits, Apex Rex got knocked out. I get my vision tranked. I get a movement speed buff. My tranquilizer's going up. My torpidity's going up. And I am just having a bad time. Let's regroup. Let's try again. We still have that Prime Tapiara, that Pteranodon Pygmy we upgraded. We're going to try the Prime Tapiara out. The Scorpion doesn't seem to have a jump attack, and I think with the sand dunes and some of the rocks that the Apex Scorpion Prime is around, it would be an advantage to try and just poke him out. And I'm having a good bit of success here. I was unable to dodge this eyeball attack that kind of green screens me. However, my Tapiara Prime only has about 10k health, and you're going to see in a moment here that my torpidity is about 97,000 at max, and I'm going to get hit once for about half my health, and not only am I going to lose half of my health, that 5,400. See this kind of these green floaty things, these particles coming around us, and my taupe are going up pretty massively here. Take a look at that. I get hit once, and I'm already over 50,000 taupe. I'm not only over 50,000 taupe, I'm over 60,000. I do not think that this is the right dino to take into this fight. A part of gear stacking is to try and get our hands on some dock-specific armor. There is an armor set that is going to have some torpidity benefits. I know Manticore armor has it, and hopefully we can get past Manticore armor, or before Manticore armor, to fight this Prime. But for now, it's just not the way. On the way back to base, I ran across a Penguin Prime. I'm out here again on Gravane. He's always coming back. You just can't trust these necromancers. And it's got about 200,000 health on that Penguin Prime. And we've been in the slow of the Penguin before, but we haven't really fought one yet. So I want to see what they do. I have cannon fodder out here at this point, and I'm hit with a massive slow. I'm sprinting here. I cannot move an inch. And then I get knocked the length of my Rex, which as an Apex Rex is quite a lot. However, I feel like things are going fairly well. I currently am mostly dead. Never mind. Within a matter of moments, I'm completely wrong. And some Yeti minions. Okay, so the Penguin Prime is super dangerous. We have this massive slow, some kind of big knock attack, and on top of that it can summon those Yeti minions. That's good to know when we try and challenge it again, but the fight's not over. You can't trust a necromancer. Alicia's here to try and get a little more damage in. You can see the Rex really chomped it hard, but I get knocked absolutely sideways and then just can't move. I finally get lined up and I'm full health with a potion, and now I'm dead. Yeah, if you were to wind that back, you would see that I went from full health to no health in a second. Armor is important. However, the Penguin Prime just ran away and left my Apex Pygmy here. So I'm going to go on a little bit of a rescue mission and save him. And I figured I should take some pop shots, see if I can do a little bit of damage, and see if the Penguin Prime can hit me up here or not. And it turns out that, yes, the Penguin Prime can hit me up here. See the bottom right corner? I get hit with some massive freeze. See that red ice cube? That's telling you that you're losing health to cold. My character currently has 400 in the Fortitude character attribute. So if I was anything less than 400 there and about 600 health, I would most likely be dead. Clearly, the Penguin Prime has a long distance attack that it doesn't even need to be near you to land. Beyond the freezing cold and the slow and the Yeti minions it summons, there they come again. It's regenerating health fairly fast. I'm taking some shots at it, but it is just running right through me. And did you see there it knocked me completely off that edge? Yeah, we're just not in a position to fight the Penguin Prime right now. we are here with Komori. Well, she's back again. You still can't trust a necromancer, but can she do it? Can we take on the Doedicurus Prime Wild? You can see here about 175,000 health. I take a couple of warning shots. These bullets don't do much at all. I've got a fairly beefy gun, but it's just not enough. The plan here is to pound the Doedicurus a few times and jump away before we can get tail swiped. And it seems to be going okay. Notice at the top of the screen that it says whenever we get close to the Doed, it says minus 50% armor. So the Doed doesn't seem to be summoning anything, but it did just hit us for 13,000. Yeah, that's a lot. And as we're watching it here, it's regenerating health already. That is some massive regen. We're really going to have to stay aggressive on this Doed. And you can see here it hits me for 23,000. I'm just not going to have success with these rock drakes. Sure, they can fight the nest defenders and we can work our way to get some Manticores, some dragons, some wyverns. But as far as taking out the rock golem to these, the rock drake to these low tier primes, these lowest level primes, it's just not going to happen. However, we do have our RG Prime. That's right. We evolved our Argentavis Pygmy from an Argentavis to that Apex Pygmy into the Apex Prime Argentavis. And we can also summon some minions to help us fight the Doed. It's going to take us a while. I'm going to speed this up quite a bit. See the status effects? See that shield with the line through it kind of crossing out? That's a clue that there's something going on as we're getting hit. I still have the Apex Kong Pygmy as the shoulder gear stack. I still have my health potions, and I'm going to use those minions to help cut down on the Doed's health and prevent some of the regen, and we're going to have success with the RG Prime. You could have gone any of these routes in early game docs. You could have gone straight for an Argentavis Prime and moved into fighting the nest defenders or fighting the primes. I'm back on our favorite bridge with an Apex Kong Pygmy, a rock elemental. Here you can see the breakdown in the stats, and I'm going to try and fight a Yeti Prime in the wild. You could have gone straight for the Rock Golem Prime. You could have gone straight for that Tapiara. You could have worked towards evolving your Apex Kongs into the Apex King Kong Prime. Any of those different paths would have been a total option towards progressing. I think my stats are a little bit off here. I seem to hit this Apex Yeti Prime for about 40,000 from forever away. However, Apex Yeti Prime not only has a range attack, looks like he threw a spear at me, but he also summons Yeti Prime minions. This time with my Rock Golem Prime, where I click summon, I got a Doed, and I am down for the count. I get absolutely hammered by this Apex Yeti Prime. I die, my tame dies, my Pygmy shoulder mount dies. I'm going to show up with the Doed this time. This is a part of the Docs mod. Something went wrong, we need to adjust. That Apex Pygmy Prime does not give me the same defensive bonus that a Doed Prime would give. Just like when we came out with the Rock Golem before, we pushed the summon minion, the X button, and we got a bear. That last time we got a Doedicurus. We want to remember, it's tough to understand this, but did I make a mistake or did I show up above my weight class? I really should have spent, and this time we got a Mantis, so there's a pool that it rolls from. I really should have spent more time just throwing rocks at that Apex Yeti. I did not need to get in close to fight it, and maybe I'm just a scaredy cat, but I really don't want to lose another Rock Golem. They're fun to tame once, but I've tamed quite a few at this point if you've been counting. I really should be using this to my advantage. There is some skill to knowing how to dodge the attacks and what you can dodge and what you can fight. That's right, we have an Apex Yeti Prime off of our hitlet, and we got an Apex Prime head. You remember when we got that pig kill? We got the Daeodon Prime. That's right, we got that Daeodon head. What do we do with these things? Well, we go into our Docs Book of Smarts and we go to the More tab, and for the Daeodon it shows Daeodon Prime. Even if I click on that, it's going to tell me, hey, if I get a Daeodon Prime head, a zombie Dodo Prime brain, then I kill a Mega Sheep and put those in the inventory, I can spawn an Ancient Daeodon Prime. Remember, those Ancients are that even higher tier, if not the highest tier of tames. Yes, there's the Megaresk, yes, there's Ancient Primals, but we're not there yet. That's right, it's time to say goodbye to the Apex Pteranodons. They certainly carried the game to get us off the ground into safety and through early game docks and to get our hands on a few eggs. We've been taking those eggs and we've seen that Apex Dinos are not going to cut it any longer. Let's take a check on our eggs. How are we doing on eggs? Well, we have quite a few. There's even more in another fridge. I've hatched a few off camera. However, we need to be killing primes so that we can get the prime kibble. Because remember, once we hatch a wyvern, a dragon, a manticore, you can't ride them until you prove you're worthy. And part of that proving you're worthy is getting that prime kibble, which you only get by killing primes. Remember, if you have an egg collector of some kind, to tell it to mind its own business while you're hatching eggs. So we have an ember crystal wyvern egg, and we have a tropical crystal wyvern egg. We have a blood crystal wyvern egg. We have a lightning wyvern. We have a frost wyvern, and a ice wyvern, a fire wyvern, and a poison wyvern. As we progress through the series, I am going to continue to show you less of the grind and more of what's going on. We are going to continue through our hit list of prime tier dinos. I hope you've been enjoying things so far. I hope you learned something. If you have any great suggestions for what we should fight next, feel free to leave a comment below. As we move forward, we are going to be going out with some of these eggs that we've been hatching. Our Apex Dinos are no more. We can still get away with maybe some Prime Dinos, like that RG did pretty good. Maybe we should try Prime Kong again. However, I think it's Wyvern time. We seem to have the tools to make that happen. I've been told that the Soul Ball mod, if you just soul ball up a freshly hatched or born beast on your side and you just put him in the soul terminal, you are going to get an 100% imprinted fully grown adult when you wake up the next day. I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm going to try it out with this batch of wyverns, and if it doesn't work, we just lost all of them. Maybe they die, maybe they don't, maybe it works, maybe that'll get patched in the future. I can't promise that it won't, but I'm going to try it. So here you can see all of the wyverns hatched in the soul terminal. Docks might also change in the future, as might this soul terminal. I would encourage you to make an effort to stay current. If you see what I do works and you duplicate it and it doesn't work, it's a great time to say, hey, what's going on that doesn't work for me, that it worked here? Maybe there's been a change in the mechanics. I hope that this helped you and you enjoyed the journey. Until next time, peace. If you learned something or enjoyed this video, share it with a friend. If you are new here, please consider subscribing. If you have joined and enjoyed before, welcome back. If you would like to see more quality content, please consider joining me in supporting the channel through Patreon and utilizing the affiliated links. Thanks!